class. I'd wink my eyelid. Those days went by so fast.
Episode 3, and for those who don't know, we decided to put this together to initially talk to people from Birmingham about their journey growing up in the inner city, how they navigated through life and so forth. So today we have another special guest, a young man, I should say, or old man.
Old man, mate.
That grew up in the inner city. He's done quite a few things. It's good to get his perspective on life. So we've got Mr. Daniel Rochester here. For those who don't know you, how would you describe yourself?
I mean, I'd say try to describe myself as an individual right now who has a director to a number of agencies, help and support people. In regards to, I'd say as a job title, people would call me a youth worker. I'm a guy that's from Brum, but do majority of my work outside of Brum.
And it's interesting to know we'll get to it anyway, in terms of why a majority of your work is really done outside of Birmingham. To start with, where did you grow up?
It's funny because I tell everyone Hockley in it, but I originally was born in Highgate.
Okay.
And I always forget that myself.
Yeah.
I was originally born in Highgate. Then we moved over to Handsworth for a bit. Then I lived majority of my childhood in Hockley.
And what's the family structure like in terms of siblings?
I mean, if I broke initially Highgate when I first started out, before mum and dad broke up and all that kind of stuff, I'd say initially me, my dad, my mum, and 2 brothers at the time. But later on down the journey, it ends up with 3 brothers. Yeah. No dad, if that makes sense.
And if we start moving now towards, we're going to take you to a time period, the 80s and 90s. Was it Hockley then?
Yeah.
Would you say?
I'd say majority of Hockley.
And if you reflect back, what was it like for you growing up in Hockley?
I think there's 2 sides to that journey in it. Because originally I lived on Abbey Street in Hockley. And Abbey Street time for me was all fun. Nothing but fun, because it's like that's where I started playing football. That's where you meet everybody that's from Hockley. And the thing is, because you're in Hockley, for me it was like you're in the middle of everything. Yeah. Middle of Handsworth, Ladywood, Newtown. So you was cool with everybody from different areas. It's almost like, it's hard to explain, but Abbey Street was like the fun area growing up at that time anyway.
And the football and the sports you was into?
I was going to say, because we also played Little League football in it, where you'd walk up from Hockley all the way to Summerfield Park, and everyone, again, if you're from Ladywood, to go and play football over there, and everybody knows each other from there as well. So yeah.
And for those that may not know what Little League's like, because growing up in the 80s, especially in Birmingham, a lot of people played in Little League. What was Little League?
I think that's everybody that was almost like junior school age. Little League, you had Interlink. Interlink was when you finished Little League at a certain age, and you go over Holyhead School and play Interlink football for like when you turn senior school kind of thing. But also them age groups as well, everyone played Sunday football, because Little League was Saturday, and you played Sunday League football.
So moving into now, because I'd say Birmingham has had its fair share of riots, and so forth. So in the 90s, that was the power cut. I don't know if you remember the power cut, and there was a rioting and looting and.
You know, when you talk about I think about Hockley and Abbey Street back then, I can also remember the days of, that was Inchai.
Yes.
Maybe if you go down the park, you'd see the older man of the Inchai guys, and them days people wear bandanas and colours and all that kind of stuff. I can remember them days, but I can always remember that as well.
And going on to, I mean, because it's well documented in terms of like the gang culture within Birmingham, and you mentioned the Inchai, and that was like the early start of it, to be honest. And growing up, how was it like for you navigating around Hockley, Birmingham, and kind of like avoiding, getting sucked into that kind of...
I'd say I never really avoided, because you know everybody in it. Yeah. So regardless of who's attached to, know everybody, but at the same time, I'm not involved in certain things. I was just cool with everyone. And because I played football as well, see everyone at football. Even outside that, when you think about how I avoided little things, like I've never smoked growing up in it. Yeah. So if certain man smoked, I'm not around you when it's time for you smoking in it. when it's time to play football, I'm around you. When it's time to play football, kind of thing.
Okay.
So when I look at how I navigated away from it, I always saw, man, if he's at football, I'm at football, and wherever football's at, I'm at football.
It seems like sports is always the center of, keeping the youth engaged in something and just keeping their mind occupied. Did you find that growing up?
I'd say 100%, but you don't realize it at the time, innit? As you grow up older and you get older, especially for myself, and look at the opportunities that I had, that all came through sport without knowing until later down the line, in regards to my journey of life and how it's turned out, kind of thing. I'd say sport's been major. It's been massive for me, 100%.
And with the sports, what's your take or your experience of grassroots football?
You mean like when I was younger?
Yeah.
If you talk about when I was younger, when you talk about Little League, to start with, you had older people in the community that ran football teams, and they all came together. So you'd have about 100 kids turn up on a Saturday, play football. Yeah. But then when it comes to Sunday football, this is where I can only give respect to people like Jean Bell and Lorraine from Ladywood. They're the ones that picked me up and got me involved in Balford Rovers. But not only that, from going to them, you'd see older heads in the community. Like we had the older age groups of Balford. So they'd pick you up in a white van and take you away all over the country. It's almost like you're going on holiday every weekend because you're mixing and with kids from different areas and all sorts. Yeah, they gave you crazy opportunities. So yeah, people like them. And not only that, they never got paid to do it. They'd come and pick you up from your house. That if you're struggling for boots, they'd get you boots. If you have no money for subs, they just look after you, but you don't realise it at the time. So as you get older, because I know my mum never really had money like that. My mum never had boots, money or enough, that kind of stuff. But as you're older, you realise where you got these things from. Yeah.
And was that still part of Little League or? Nah,
that was separate.
Okay, so what was that?
Belford was on a Sunday. That's what you had. Because in Belford, you had my age group, you had the year above that, and then you had the year above that. So you had people like Tony Martin, that ran the year above, and Stammer and all them kind of guys.
And if you reflect on how it is now, do you think that's something that's missing from the early start of like people's entry into football? Or
I think now is more politics, man. I think without going too deep right now, because I'm not going to touch on some other things. A lot of people doing things now for agendas or what they can get out of it. Yeah. And so I feel back then it was more of a genuine thing, and like I said, you don't realise it until later in life. But when I look at people like Jean and Lorraine, they haven't stopped doing what they're doing.
Oh, they're still doing it now.
Jean's still, I see her picking up people, grown men, bringing them football matches, and I know they don't get money for that. Yeah, they do it because they genuinely want to do it.
And what was the progression from there? Did you so you're playing football, you're part of this team. Yeah. What's the natural progression from that team? How did you progress?
Also for myself, because I played football in school, innit? Yeah. Because I was good at football in school. I played for my year, the year above. Yeah. And you played district, you played county. But at the same time, when at Belford, you had enough players that played for like Villa and all sorts growing up. But I never really played for none of them, innit? Okay. When I got to about 15, and I went to Wolves. Wolves scouted me, and I played a few games for Wolves. And on the back end of that, I ended up at Port Vale.
And what was it like when you started playing for Wolves, especially at the age of 15? Because that's kind of like a transitional age group where you can either, some people fall off and they lose interest and, to start, messing about with their friends and so forth. How did you find that kind of journey pathway?
Going to Wolves, I found it easy, I'll be honest, because where I grew up in Hockley, everybody could play ball in it. Yeah. And it's not even like you played just your age group, you play with older guys. So when I went to Wolves, could play football, and I was very comfortable playing football. And because it was more local, because a lot of guys there were from Brum and all sorts, so for me it wasn't a hard transition. If anything, it was more like, it was luxurious. Because when I went into the football club, and little things like they got lunch waiting for you, and they got kit waiting for you to put on to training, so it's like, wow, this is different. And then so for me it was more of a luxury that you don't have when you're growing up in certain environments.
And then from where were some of the heights that brought you in terms of when you was playing for the Wolves and the academy? Where are some of the places that you?
I think when I went to, because when I finished at Wolves, I went to Port Vale, in it. That's when I saw a culture shock in it for me. Yeah. Because going to Port Vale, I've moved from Brum to Stoke. Okay. And it was different. I can remember one of my first days walking into a changing room full of kids. Yeah. That I would never associate with in regards to if I was growing up in Hockley. Little things like, it was the time when everyone's getting their GCSE results. Yeah. That was the time when I signed at Port Vale, innit?
What age
That was
that?
16. I was 16 then, innit?
Yeah.
And I can always remember that day, and I speak about it regular to people, because when I walked into a change room, there was about 15 kids.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids talking about, I got 11 A stars, I got this, I got that. Their mum's buying me a car for it, or I'm getting £100 for every grade I get. Yeah. And I was in the change room thinking, I ain't even done no exams. I've done nothing. And it's scary. Not only that, I can always remember kids talking about what jobs they've got. You talk about 16-year-olds, you said about, I've worked in a shop for the last 3 years. No one's worked for my dad's business and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, it made me start reflecting on what life's like back in Hockley. Because where we grew up, little things like just having a dad. All these youths had mums and dads. Yeah. We all had mums. Not only that, enough of these youths talking about exams. To go and have an exam, because I went to St. George's, no one really done no exams like that. So I'm starting to see the differences in regards to my reality back home as to the reality of the kids that I'm with.
So you're saying that was like a massive culture shock for
shock ain't the word. Listen, it was scary, because even little things like, even though I played a game for Wolves, I can remember playing a game against, I think we played against Mansfield, and I only had studs in it. I've turned up and it was in the summer, and some of the players are like, you can't wear them. I'm like, why can't you wear these? And the guy came up to me, he goes, you gotta wear these. And he gave me a pair of molds. Never saw a pair of molds in my life. And it's just weird, because these kids had 2 pairs of boots, and it's a different reality, trust me. And even when you talk about the mum and dad thing, because I played all over the country, even I played in Holland tournaments and all sorts. Parents for kids were at every game, but where I'm from, there's no parents. Like, I know my mum's back in Brum looking after the family kind of thing, innit? Yeah. But there's no one at no games.
Would you say, and that's why you probably said the individuals like Gene were instrumental in terms of not only your journey, but probably other kids' journey in the football, of having that support there while, navigating through the football journey.
It's massive. Trust me, it's massive. It's even down to like, no, I never played for like Mrs. Flash. Okay. She's another one. I think she's from Lee Bank. Yeah. She'd be another who supported loads of kids when it comes to football. Okay. Turn up at loads of matches and all that kind of stuff. So people like them, man.
And how did it feel when you first signed your pro deal for Port Vale?
When I first signed for Port Vale, initially, because you know what it was? I could have signed for Derby, who were in the Premiership at the time, or Port Vale. And I chose Port Vale based on thinking, it's a lower club. I got more chance of playing first team football in it. And now I'll be honest, when I went there, I felt like, I'm definitely one of the better players here at the time. My period there, it was ups and downs, and it was great playing a footballer, but at the same time, while I was up there, I hated it at times. Yeah.
And that's a question that I wanted to touch on really. When you signed your pro deal, was it what you expected in terms of the high life, footballer high life? And
as a kid though, you gotta remember though, I'm a kid from Hockley, innit? And growing up in Hockley, there's certain pressures that are there, innit? Yeah. And like, when I went to go and live in Stoke for a couple of years, you're not around the same environment, not around the same kind of kids. So it's like little things like, I can remember, if you go to a party in Brum growing up, everyone's screw facing the party. Let's keep it, everyone's screw face. Yeah. When I went to Stoke go football now, the first time they took me to a nightclub. Yeah. Everyone's having the time of their life. So I'm like, wow, it's different up here, innit? Yeah. And it was completely different. At the same time, you forget that you're there for football. Yeah. But because you got a natural ability, I'm good at football, but you don't see the hard work. You're not dedicated like that. But then the other things like the racism, going from predominantly black environment to a predominantly white environment and experiencing their racism, that as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, that was deep still.
And I suppose that may have been your first kind of like encounter really of I wouldn't say first encounter of racism, but the encounter of racism where you're up there by yourself now and you haven't got the support network of your family or the community to kind of like fall back on. And
it's different because, like, for example, let's say growing up in Brum, you knew I'm not going king standing. You know, that kind of thing, because we don't go king standing, so what we call over where we are, innit? Yeah. When you go to Stoke and you're once, there's a couple other guys that are from Brum, but it's different, man. When folks are shouting racial slurs at you and all sorts, and it's not just one or two guys, it's a whole load of guys, and it's not really all you can do. But then the other side of it is, even within a football club, even you got the youth team, you got the first team, you're training with the first team and stuff like that, and then you got first team players that are using certain languages and all that kind of stuff, and you got I gotta manage myself in regards to who do I fall out with, how do I get my head down at football and all sorts. So yeah, it's different, man.
And I think, Jay, you were saying there was there a tweet or Instagram post, Marcus Rashford must have mentioned something about less than half of 1% of children from the age of 9 onwards make it to professional football that goes through the academy. Why would you say no?
You know what, I'd say my journey and what it is now, I can always remember my manager saying to me before, you don't make no friends in football, innit? So when you turn up, you've got to focus on your football, innit? A lot of people don't realise that until it's too late.
Okay.
Because like, for example, I was there for 2.5 years and you don't realise how quick it goes, innit? And then even look at the time when I played football, that was when the Bosman ruling first came in.
What's that? Explain that.
Freedom of movement of players when your contract's up.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of clubs at the time, it's like, do we take on these youngsters for extra contracts or do we just take on someone a free transfer?
Okay.
It'd be easier to take someone who's more established rather than wait. And plus, the club that I was at, I can't say they've had the biggest money and all that kind of stuff. So it's different as to if you played against Villa or Forest or someone, they turn up with 20 players. As to when we turn up, we got 13 players.
Because my understanding, at the age of 16, signing a deal, for me, that's like you've signed a deal now, this is your team. So you're saying it's like a deal for a two-year contract? 2-year contract,
yes, just 2-year contract. But also, you know, like you say, enough players don't make it, etc.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, a lot of kids have, like I talk about, proper support. Back then, a lot of kids never had that. I played with a guy, I live with a guy up there from Liverpool.
Okay.
I can't think which part of Liverpool. He's from inner city Liverpool.
Okay.
Right now he's sitting in jail.
Oh.
Since we've played football, he's sitting in jail. He's on about 3 stints in jail. Like big sentences as well.
And is that someone that signed?
He signed
at the same.
He stayed even after me.
Okay.
While he was there, he had a gambling problem. He had a drink problem.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy that I live with as well. He's from Brum actually.
Yeah.
He's another black youth. He struggled because when you finish football, it's a struggle still. And he's now selling Big Issue. Oh. So it's like when you leave, contracts up, what you've taken for granted in regards to pre-season, going back on Monday to train all week, it's all gone.
It's all gone.
All gone, literally all gone. Overnight, all gone.
And how was that for you? Because I suppose you've signed. It's a big deal because probably for your family, you know, very proud of you in terms of signing. But then 2 years, was that the end of that contract or what happened
it was
after
done.
that?
You know what's mad? Because I'd done 2 years in Stoke, innit? And I've come back to Brum, innit? And the football club at the time, they've arranged for me I could have went to Scarborough. Yeah. I could have played, where was it? I could have went to Sweden. And then there was also a scholarship opportunity in America, innit? Okay. But for me, I didn't want to do any of them. Oh. It was literally, I just wanted to go back home kind of thing. Yeah. Because of the experience of, you know, that you've gone away on your own and I just couldn't see it all, doing it all again, if that makes sense. Yeah. I thought I'm going to get a club locally because you know you're good at football, innit? Yeah. But it doesn't work out like that. Believe me, it doesn't work out. You don't realise there's enough of years that want to get a club. Yeah. So you end up going to non-league football. And that was my perception until talking to you now. That was my perception of football. You've got 11 players. It's easy, accessible. You can go to a park and play football, so it's easy to get into it. Until I've had this conversation with you, I didn't think it was that hard. You see, like when I talk about Belford and Little League and all that kind of stuff, there were kids that were at football clubs from the age of 7 years old. When they got to 16 years old, they got let go. See how I never got into a pro club until I was about 15, 16 years old. Yeah. Then I just suddenly got on the journey. Yes. So imagine being a kid that's been there from 7 and you got let go at 6. You're just gone. Dash away. I still speak to guys that, they've done the whole journey of academies. When it comes to now, can you get a contract? No, you're gone. It's as cold as that. I didn't know that, you know. Trust me. I think it's bad, but at the same time, I look at the other side of it is, if I never went to football, I left school with no qualifications. Okay. Now look at the PFA. They helped me get qualifications. What's PFA? The Players Football Association. Is that? Do you sign up to them once? Yeah, once, because you're a member for life. And they will help you with courses, they'll put you on programs, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And even being out the city and experiencing life of living outside of inner city, seeing how other people live and networking with people. Even to the point where I speak about inner city I was blatant inner city growing up. I never went out of inner city. I can remember one time we played a game against someone, then the bus stopped off in Great Bar to let me off to say you can go home. Kind of think if you want for the weekend, could you go home on a Saturday, come back on a Monday, all week stay in Stoke, come back after a game on Saturday. Is that you travelling up yourself or do they? Nah, do you know what it is? You travel up on the Monday morning on the train, you train all week, play games in the week and sometimes play on the weekend. But when you finish your game on the weekend, if you haven't been required to train again on the Sunday, you can go home. So I'd go back to my mum for that Sunday and go back up on the Monday. But I can remember the coach driver dropped me off. Well, once he dropped me off in Great Bar, I didn't know where it was.
Nah.
Right, listen, I didn't know where it was. I told the guy, take me back to Stoke. I'll get the train from Stoke, back to the train station in Bronx, then go home. Because all that I knew was certain areas.
Yeah.
Talk about Handsworth, Lascelles, Hockley, Ladywood. Did not know about Great Bar in them areas growing up.
And for the listeners as well, you've got to imagine, and this is why it's interesting to have this conversation, because Great Bar is still close proximity to...
It's down the road.
It's just down the road to Hockley.
Yeah. But growing up, all I knew was inner city areas. So I didn't go anywhere else. Knew about Handsworth Carnival over there. Yeah. So, you know, as you're getting older, you hear about these areas and this goes on here. And I was like, right, I didn't know about these areas growing up. It's scary, man.
And what was them 2 years, right, in terms of... Because you mentioned training...
Yeah.
Like pretty much throughout the day.
Yeah.
So where does the education part fit in, or
you know what it is? When you sign, you got two options in it. They give you an option of, you can send you a college to the college.
Yeah.
At a local college in Stoke where all the footballers from Crewe, Stoke and Port Vale went, or you stayed on site. The ones that stayed on site, the ones that left school with no qualifications.
Okay.
So I stayed on site. There was me, a couple guys from Crewe.
Yeah.
And a couple guys from Stoke. So we're the ones, and you'd find all of us that stayed on site were all from a certain environment.
Yeah.
But as everybody else, they went down to college. Yeah. But then some of them, their parents paid for extra qualification, doing night school and all. Oh. It was crazy, man. Even that, because the whole 2 years, I never drove or nothing, in it. A couple of youths had cars, little things like that.
Okay.
Different, man. You just realise, growing up in an environment, it's different. I can remember turning up for a match, FA Cup game. You've got to dress a certain way, shirt and tie. I went back to Handsworth. When I bought some yellow shirt with loads of colours on and all this kind of stuff, big chinos, turned up. Everybody's got full suit on, looking at me like, this guy's crazy. So it's like you start realising, there's some differences going on here.
Is it like that now though, in terms of, because is there any support in those academies for, just for the youths that are probably gone to the academy with not much education? Because you've got to set someone up for, if you don't keep them on in 2 years' time.
I think even with myself, because I could phone the PFA now and still get support around things.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I could phone them now and say there's a course I want to do. They'd pay for half of the course to support you, buy a laptop, whatever else you can do.
That's good.
But I think it's more of a holistic approach for footballers now.
Yeah.
And they support a lot more. Yeah. As to before, players could get away with anything. Yeah. When you talk about racism in football clubs and all sorts. And I don't know how bad it is at times. Some people I know in non-league football, it's there. Yeah. I know from my journey of playing at pro clubs, it's there.
Okay.
But it might be different now. Yeah. So I can say, because I went into the same football club the other day and I want to give a talk to the youth team about my journey. Speaking to the managers and all sorts, you can see the support or the way they care for them is completely different.
Different.
Yeah, but the reality of the kids, when they come out of football, they don't know what they're facing when they come out of pro club. Yeah. It can be hard.
And that's where I want to really move on to now. So from there, age of 16, so about 18, left Port Vale.
Yeah.
So what was life like for you then following leaving Port Vale? So you returning back to inner city?
You know what I'd say? You know, even my journey, I try and think of moments that were significant in it. Yeah. Because even when I played for Port Vale, I'd come home on a weekend every so often. I could always remember something that stood out for me. I played a game on Aston Villa TV. It was a reserve game in it.
Yeah.
But then I came back after that. I got caught up in a robbery in it. And there was a kid that wasn't involved in the robbery.
Yeah.
And he ended up going to jail for it.
Oh.
And he got about 3-4 years. And it's like, made me realising every time I come home, how bad it could be for me if I get caught up in certain behaviours in it. Because when I saw how that kid's life ended up, based on his experience of going to jail as a kid, and that always stuck with me. And even to today, I still see him every so often. You can see, he struggles from it. So it's, even though I've moved away from Hockley, every time I come home on a weekend, I'm at risk of getting involved in certain behaviours. You don't realise until you're away, man.
I think that's the beauty, the position that you was in terms of fortunate to be able to move from Hockley, see a different life, and then it enables you to think more when you're back in Hockley.
Being away from the environment definitely made me realise, living a different way of life. Some of it's constructive, but a lot of it can be detrimental to us. And I look at my journey and look at people that I've grown up with, and I've seen some outcomes and all sorts, and it's like, I realise some of the stuff that we're around, it's not good.
So moving on now, so we've completely, we finished the kind of like
18.
From 18 moving on now. What direction did your journey take here?
When I finished at Port Vale, I think I went to, because I turned down the options that I had before in it.
Yeah.
In regards to, can I go and play Sweden? Turned it down. Could have went on scholarship, turned it down. And I just wanted to be at home in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think then after that I went to Tranmere. I think I went to Tranmere for about 3 months.
Okay.
Which was different because when I went to Tranmere, everyone up there was proper professional in it. I've come from Port Vale where we were partying every night.
Tranmere, a pro football team.
It's up by Liverpool. Yeah. And I struggled to adjust to actually being professional. The players professional, not always out every night and all that kind of stuff. And that was different. But then outside of that, and then I got into non-league football. And that's when I realised, you know what, you don't realise how lucky I had it, training every day and all that kind of stuff. Non-league football was a different journey. It's just almost like any and anyone's at that club.
Do they train every day as well, or is it different training regime?
Train twice a week, 2 evenings a week.
Okay.
As before, you train every day, and you bring your own kit. There's training kit waiting for you. If you're injured, you just hope there's someone there that can help you. As to before, you'd have a doctor on site for you. It was a whole different adjustment. Even little things like booking doctors to go to the doctors and waiting to see when the doctor can see you. So if you're sick at a football club, the doctor's on site for you whenever you want him.
But Tranmere wasn't like that then?
Tranmere was like that. I'm on about non-league football now.
Okay.
When you go into non-league football, it's completely different, man. It was a shock.
Yeah.
Shock. You don't realise how fit you are when you're playing full-time as to when you go part-time, trying to maintain fitness and stuff like that.
So you've kind of like gone through the whole really system of the football system, so you know what it's like from grassroots up to pro level to non-league.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward now, 2000s.
Yeah.
So we're hitting the 2000s. What's life like for you because I think 2005 we had another disruption. I think there was another riot around Lazals. There's a lot of unrest.
In 2005, I got married that year, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I got married in 2005.
Yeah.
I remember even when I finished playing football, just to try and maintain some kind of, some kind of status, should we say. Because you try to maintain, I used to get involved in certain petty crimes and all that kind of stuff. And you talk about credit card scams, going into shops, doing all that, kinds of stuff. And I can remember doing all that for ages. But I could also remember when I first met my wife now in it. It was weird because back then, when I first met her, she was just a student.
Okay.
At the same time, I noticed she had her own car, she had her own house, she had a job. I, at the time, would thought I'd never do that job. She worked in a normal shop, innit? But I recognised how she lived and how she lived because she went from Brum, innit? And she'd go shopping with her friends every week and she'd go on holidays with her friends and all sorts. I was back in Brum now playing non-league football, but again, all that I ever saw was inner city. But growing up in a city, you'd see me in a rental every day. Yeah. See me scamming every day. You see me with all the latest clothes and all that kind of stuff. But when I looked at the substance behind what I've actually got, I really had nothing. Because when I break it down, I just had never had my own house, never had my own car, never even had a driving license and all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting you say living up to the status.
Yeah.
Is that because, would you say the status of, you've come back, you've been known to pro football and you're just trying to live up to that image?
Yeah, everyone sees you as the footballer, innit? And even behind that, because people didn't realise, even though I played at a pro club, in regards to how much I was earning, normal man at college was probably earning more money than me. Okay. So people saw you as the football guy, you had the football tracksuit, probably earning, what was I earning, about 70, 80 pounds a week. People don't realise them things. But the other side of it, you don't play for your own house, you don't pay for nothing. It was weird, man.
And this is the thing, I think it definitely for the youths nowadays, they see things, but it's just the image. They don't know the reality behind. It's just an image and Instagram, and you see all these people with flashy cars and posts and so forth, but there's nothing, no substance behind it.
And that's like when you talk about the start, we started about the amount of players that don't make it. You've got to really get your head down and find something to do. Because I remember we used to see kids going to college every day. Yeah. I know a lot of them kids that went to college, better living than the players that I played football with.
Is it?
Because they got more of a focus. So you take football for granted. It's fun and games, etc.
I suppose there's not really, if you don't have anything else to fall back on, and football comes to an end, you're back in the inner city and you're thinking, I've got this image.
Gotta maintain money.
What do I do?
And you know what the environment's like in inner city.
Yeah.
There's only certain options to you if you get caught up on the road kind of thing, innit?
So you're at the point now, you've met your wife now.
Yeah. At the time, yeah.
And where did your journey take you from there? Did you go into higher education, or how did you get into?
Initially, because obviously I was doing certain things, I stopped everything in it.
Yeah.
And I think I initially went and coached for Birmingham City for a year. So I done coaching for Birmingham City, and I got into a routine of now I have to get up every morning and do something constructive, which was good. And I got fulfillment out of helping people, because it's a football and community project.
Yeah.
So not only do you football coach, you're actually helping people in the community as well, innit?
Yeah. And why did you is that because you met your
partly because I met my wife, and she weren't into that nonsense that you're into, kind of thing, and certain things that you're doing that don't impress me, kind of thing, innit?
Okay.
So it's more a case of I need to fix something out every night, all that kind of stuff, and then I fell into youth work on the back of that, innit? Because I started working in Les Halles.
Okay.
Hands off Les Halles, started youth work around there.
And what was it like doing the youth work in Les Halles? Because you would have been doing youth work around the times the 2005 riots, and what was it like that experience then?
See, for me, you see, like doing youth work and that kind of stuff, I don't see it as work, in it. Not only that, because I'm from the environment and you're working within your own community, I don't see that as work, because I don't see it as hard. Because if you can't engage in your own environment, I don't see the So for me, it wasn't hard. And when you talk about the riots and stuff, I can remember working in the area, because where we worked, it was predominantly black and Asian, in it. Yeah. And I know there was a lot of things going on there, but I never had no issues. At the same time, during youth work, we were studying as well. I think we were doing criminal justice at Birmingham Uni, and that's where I saw issues more within the divide in the university rather than in the community, even though no things are going on.
Yeah. And what issues were there that you?
I mean, you could just blatantly see that, black people didn't want to be around Asian people. Yeah. And Asian people didn't want to be around some black people. But not all, so many. I think them ones that were involved in that, they weren't directly from the area.
And that's the crazy thing about it, because the media portrays something different. Yeah. You wouldn't see that side in terms of what you're saying. They make it out to sensationalize it.
That's the thing where they condemn inner city areas in general, innit? Yeah. And they make it sound like they're no-go zone areas and all that kind of stuff. But when you see the issues around them areas, it only really affects the people that are from the area. Yeah. For example, look where Birmingham University was placed back then. It was in Perry Bar, innit? And if you went around there, the university times before it shut down, you'd see kids from out of the area having the time of their lives. Like there was a nightclub at the bottom of the university. You see them partying up and down the streets. Yeah. But all these kids or adults, they're not from the area. Yeah. The ones that are from the area, they're the ones that are deeply affected by the issues.
Affected by the issues, yeah.
So it's like when I go into work now, if they speak about Handsworth or something, you don't want to go around there, that kind of thing. Yeah. I try to explain to them, any issues doesn't affect you. Go up and down all day. There's no history attached to you.
What role does the community leaders play in that? Because I do, like growing up, see some of them on the TV, but don't necessarily see a lot of them in the community moving around. But you do, like when things happen.
I know we might be fast forwarding now, but because I manage youth service in the prisons, innit? And I work in Brum's local prison for the youths. Yeah. And that's, even though it's in Stoke, but that's the Birmingham kids' immediate jail if they get in trouble, in it. Okay. That's from 15 to 18 year olds. And I've been in that jail almost every day for the last 7.5 years. Okay. I don't see no one from Brum up there. No. See, we've got loads of Brum kids that have been going in and out. So when I hear a lot of people speaking on certain issues and how they talk about they support this, support that, don't see none of them in there. And these kids, for me, they're struggling bad. Okay. So it's like, if you're a true reflection of really a leader of Brum and all that kind of stuff, what happens when these kids go away? Happens you don't see them no more and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. The thing is, you can get in there. If you want to go and see them, you can go and see them.
And how did you get into, let's touch on the time of, the working in the prison. So from the youth work, I think it led you into...
I got into like gang mediation, innit?
Okay, but what's that? Explain.
That was when, way back when there was a lot of, I call it gang issues in Brum. Yeah. And I was kind of cool with everybody. Yeah. Or a lot of people, not everybody, because I can't say I know everybody. Yeah. Also on the back of that was the time when I think my brother got shot, in it. My brother got shot 5 times. Okay. And then a load of conflicts came out of it, innit? And then I got approached by one guy called Kirk Dawes. He was the head of the gang mediation project about working with individuals and trying to slow down certain dramas on the road and stuff, innit?
So what would your role be as part of like gang mediator?
Whenever there was, let's say a shooting took place or there was a known conflict or something came up, and I knew it couldn't be a police-led approach or intervention. They try and get someone that can actually talk to individuals, and because I could make 1 or 2 phone calls and get into the house or someone and try and slow down surfing. So I had a few cases where people have been shot and all sorts. But again, to me, I don't see that as work. I'm working in my own environment, and if I ever, for me to be scared to work in my own environment, I can't call it my environment. So for me, it's just speaking to a man that I know, kind of thing. But at the same time, whenever that conflict came up, my main thing was to try and show somebody a different way of life rather than let me work on the issue. Because I recognise, especially for myself, as soon as you show someone something constructive or a different way, and they can live a lot more healthy, the more likely to try it, innit? And you recognise, you know what, that all the other stuff's long, man.
And did that spiral into leading you into doing the work in the prisons? Kind
of, yeah, because I can remember something came up. It was not only that, because the prison's in Stoke, innit? Because I knew Stoke area from playing football there, I kind of went up there, and then it was scary though, because I can always remember my first day, because I think I was living in Great Barden, my first day of going into the jail, the kids jail, because I've been into adult jails loads, innit? First day of going to the kids jail, I said, I gotta move out of Brum.
Oh, why is that?
Boys.
Oh, okay.
Because I got 2 sons. Straight away I said, I gotta move out of Brum.
Why?
Because when I seen the way the conditions that the kids are living in, not only that, not all the kids in there are bad downers, think they're bad youths. Half of the kids are good kids, and I've noticed a lot of them are from inner city environments. I'm not saying 1 or 2 ain't. I noticed a lot of them are from inner city environments, and to me they're all good kids when I go and engage with them. It was scary about how much were from Brum and London and Manchester, the main cities, kind of thing.
When you say the conditions, what kind of conditions were?
Wow, well, especially like for the black kids, if you go in there straight away, no one's got a haircut. Okay. As a basic, no one's cleanliness not good. You look at the cells, got nothing in their cells. When you see some kids only having a shower once a week, you see enough kids getting bullied, some kids that you think are bad on the road getting bullied in there. You see the group assaults, you see kids get carried to hospital. You see all sorts, man, and it was horrible. It's horrible. And I think a lot of, on the other side of it, this is where I talk about, when you talk about community leaders and all that kind of stuff. If you see the conditions that these kids live in, then you recognise, what I'm actually doing. It's scary, man.
And I suppose it's similar to what you say in terms of the culture shock when you went to Stoke, and the kids that come from more different environment. But going into the prisons, because some of these kids as well, they're coming from the inner city environment. Is there any support inside the prisons for these kids in terms of helping them to?
I'll say in everything, when you talk about supporting people industry, it'll be the prisons, the probation, it's all theory, innit? In theory, we have housing support. In theory, we have education support. There's so many theories. With regards to in practice, actually, who's actually helping you move from A to B? Hardly anything. That's my personal opinion. And I've been in there for time, and I think it's poor.
It is interesting.
I'd invite anyone into the prison, meet with the youths. They'll all tell you, I know this guy from the road, I know this guy. And it's mad, because when you look at our generation, a lot of our generation's kids are in there. When you ask them, have you seen your dad? There's hardly any. Yeah. Okay. It's deep, and it's a shame though, because in the jail, because I can give you stats in regards to violence in the jails and all sorts, because I think last year there was over 3,000 serious assaults
in the prison.
In the prison, it's deep, man. And I remember a kid got put in a coma over just a couple words.
Is that the frustration that's in there, or is it just the conflicts between the individuals?
You know what? Some kids go in there and they get on with it and they leave and they're fine. But a lot of kids go in there and because they don't know themselves, they get caught up in certain behaviours, innit? You can tell a youth that's new, then you can tell a youth that's been there for a while, because the new youth come in a certain way, but within a week is conformed to the behaviours of the jail. And like I said, for me, it's not nice, and then it's hard for them to manoeuvre out. Like for example, when I spoke to you about the football, and I say, when you finish football, what do I do now? You see, and you're trying to break a cycle of, I need to get back to normal. That's their reality. So you're seeing kids going in jail. It's like I've been doing 7 years, innit? In the YOIs. And
what's for those who's listening that may not know what YOI? What's YOI?
Young Offenders Institute.
Okay.
Then I go to the one above, like Brinsford and Swinford and all them kind of jails. But even before that, STC, Secure Trading Centres. Some kids have been in jail from like 14.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of kids have done their whole childhood inside the jails, and this is where my issue comes up with when a lot of people talk about, I do all this for the community and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what about all these kids that are from the community, they just get lost? And when they come out, there's not really no support. It's my personal opinion. If someone shows me something different, there's no support. Say we're in a field of practitioners progress, service users don't.
And moving on to, and I think that's probably why your journey's moved you to the next, well, this stage, what we're going to talk about now. So what kind of things are you involved in now?
See, I still manage youth services inside some of the jails, but then I also a director to an alternative provision. That's a school for young people that have been removed from mainstream education for whatever reason. And then I'm also director to a football project. And that's, again, it's more of a community-based project with more of the younger kids into football and stuff like that.
Okay, so let's start with the school. So why did you decide to set that up, and you know how did you go about setting it?
I mean, that's in Stoke, innit? I got approached by someone because I know about the work that I've been doing in the prisons with the kids, and they said we've got a lot of kids that won't access other alternative provisions, they won't go into mainstream schools and all sorts, and they asked me, can I set something up? And I set something up, and then before the building was even ready, I got referred some young people.
Yeah.
The young people that I got referred have not been to education for 2 years.
Okay.
But then if you look at the background, their history of their life, their dads are serving long sentences in jails, CSC, all that kind of stuff, innit? And then we got them engaged, got them attending every day. Before you know it, we referred a lot more kids. Yeah. But to the point where our school's known for having a certain type of young person in it.
So what is the school, in terms of an alternative provision school, what do you do? What is it?
We, informal education, innit? More informal education, but also we work with them around their harsh realities, innit? Yeah. We've got a lot of kids that are down as, they call them gang members and all sorts. To me, they're not. Trust me, they're not. Yeah. But local authority will call them that. You got them substance misuse, you got some that's been exposed to domestic violence, all that kind of stuff, but you can see that they're removed from education in all forms. So we try and offer more of a wraparound service. Okay. For example, I've had kids turn up at school with in their sister's clothes. For example, we go out and buy the kids clothes. During the COVID period, we never got money for certain things, but we'd make sure all the young people at lunch, got breakfast, got dinner. We have to drop off certain things. We try and put a care provision in place for the young people. Yeah.
So it's really more than education. You look at that individual child and see what they need and try and provide everything.
100%. Yeah. That's the way. I just look at it as a life thing, innit? If I was in their position, how would I want to be helped?
You say that it's in Stoke, but it's interesting now. I want to get to, why Stoke?
You know,
did you not try and do something?
See, I used to do, when I don't get the gang mediation, I was in Brum. I used to do a lot of like family intervention in Brum and all that kind of stuff. But that was all working for organisations. When it come to setting up myself and delivering in Brum, because I've always had a finger in regards to, I always say I got a loyalty to my environment. My environment is where I'm from, innit? And I've always wanted to give to where I'm from. As to when I would done the youth work back then, I helped set up football projects and all sorts and community projects in Brum. That was when I was working as a youth worker. Yeah. When it comes to setting up for myself and approaching individuals and trying to work with individuals, it's almost like there's too much politics and too many barriers involved. So I made a conscious decision of, you know what, let me go elsewhere. I'm going to show people what I can actually do, get some outcomes, some quality outcomes as well. Not only that, I'm an income generator, so I don't have to ask no one for nothing, innit? Yeah. So, you know, if I come back to Brum now and say, you know, I'm going to set up a school, I've got the money myself to pay for the building and then go from there, because I think there's too much politics in Brum.
But and I don't want to put you on the spot, but what kind of politics? Because I'm someone from outside of that environment, so I don't know what.
For example, you know, when I speak about like helping kids and stuff like that, I don't think you should have to get paid to help someone. See, like, even though I'm not set up nothing in Brum, I still engage with a lot of kids in Brum. You know, a lot of kids that leave the jails. Yeah. Trust me, I'm engaged with a lot of them that are from Brum. They can phone me anytime. If they need anything, I will help them. Yeah. When you talk about from a local authority or your contracts and all that kind of stuff, a lot of the stuff is who you know and who you're friends with, and they will push money your way. And not only that, let's say some people, if you're engaged with the same young people, they see as, without putting words, it's competition, in it. Rather than we're here for the needs of the young person. For example, now I gave you an example off here, I'll say it here now. When I went to set up an alternative provision in Brum,
Yeah.
Spoke to a few schools, told them about what I do, and they were more than interested. I thought, I can set some up, go into schools, whatever.
Yeah.
And they told me, you got to go through this individual. I thought, cool. I phoned that individual, told him everything I want to do. He said, yeah, but I've got to get a cut of everything.
Oh,
So
is that where you say everyone wants to get paid?
Yeah, he's straight away, but he's not doing nothing.
Yeah.
He just wanted to be the referral system for you. And he gets paid per young person for doing.
Yeah.
You'll find I've set up as a community interest company. I could have set up as a limited company. As a limited company, I look after the money, whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
As a community interest, it's more vetted. Regards to anything that comes in goes back into the community. So you can see my interests are genuine.
Yeah.
So when you speak to a lot of people, it's all about what can they get out of it.
And it's a shame still, because listening to your journey, especially growing up in inner city, something like the service that you've set up in Stoke would definitely be, beneficial in inner city, and probably you'd be a perfect person to spearhead that.
Because if you come into, like I said, if you come into the jails with the kids, they're the same kind of kids. They still have to access education when they go into the prisons. But when they go into the prison, for example, in the young offenders estates, they have 3 hours of education in the morning, 3 hours of education in the afternoon.
Is that in the prison?
In the prison.
Okay.
And it's the same kids that you would have had in the alternative provision. If you check the behaviours when they're with the teachers and etc., as to when we're with myself, some other practitioners, like people like, can call out Nick Crossfield and Jermaine Bennett. These guys
from Birmingham.
Yeah, they're from Birmingham. Yeah. They don't work with me in the prisons. And I see how the young people relate and work with them. And when I said there's over like 3,000 or a big number of incidents in the prisons, if I check that against the number of incidents that have took place when in sessions with myself, Jermaine, Nick, over a 7-year period, there's been 0. So when you break down, can these guys engage with these kids? Yes.
Yeah.
And we engage with them for constructive reasons? Yes, because we've got them in education settings.
Yeah.
Do we engage with them when they leave the prison? Yes, we do. Yeah. And that's not for a job. We engage with them out of our own time.
Because there's a passion there. And
got to.
And community leaders, commissioners, if you're listening to this, I think you need to contact this guy, because you've got the blueprint and the template to bring it to. Before we even touch on that though, because there's buildings, you got Mohammed Ali. Is it Mohammed Ali Centre in Hockley?
I lived on Abbott's Way across the road from it.
That's been closed for years.
Boy, I've approached many. It's just you get blocked left, right, and centre. Personally, you get blocked left, right, and centre. If you go to conferences, you see the same people talking at conferences. There's so many gatekeepers to so many things that will block rather than think, can they actually work? Because
something like that school you're talking about in Stoke, the Mohammed Ali Centre will be perfect. It's a big enough building. Yeah. You can have the schools in there, some music facilities, dance or whatever facility, you can build it in there.
You've got that facility. I've seen over Hockley Port. Remember Hockley Port back in the day that used to be by All Saints, all them kind of places.
Yes, those places.
Them places. Yeah. There's so many buildings that they can utilise, but
because there's one down Hampstead
Road.
Hampstead Road, there's a building there as well.
And you don't see nothing going on.
I don't really see nothing going on. I drive past there regular, and
but this is what I mean. Think of this. I know these things, and I don't work in Brum. Yeah. I'm still actively pursuing, trying to do something for the environment.
What are the blockages? What in terms of trying to get these buildings?
You know what it is? Some people's names will be on leases. Or they might know the landlord or council don't want to free up something, and sometimes it's not until you're out there speaking on, I don't know, because my face ain't all over the media and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So sometimes, some people don't acknowledge. But at the same time, you shouldn't be like that. You can't just go for the popular vote or someone that looks good in theory rather than someone that can actually do the work.
Okay. You mentioned COVID as well. 2020 was a kind of like a bad year for everyone. But how did COVID impact on your business, your services then?
In regards to our school, it never closed.
Okay.
We stayed open over the school holiday period as well. But that was more, we could have closed, but we chose to open.
Yeah.
Local authorities supported it because of the type of young people that we have. So we made sure we stayed open.
Okay.
For many reasons. But not only that, we also run a mothers group for mothers that are impacted through gangs and youth violence for their young people, for their kids and stuff.
Is this all Stoke
this is
as well?
Stoke.
Yeah.
But recently, I know I said about Brum, I've just set up with a colleague of mine, Yasmin, something called I Am My Sister. This is more about supporting the black woman, because we feel the black woman's visible in society right now, and they go through a lot. So we've put somewhat in Brum, but that's just set that up.
What's that? What's that for? What?
It's about the black woman, and her journey and what she's gone through and what she goes through. And my role within that is more of a supporting role rather than leading, because it's more about the woman, helping the woman, but with my support, and we can get funding or whatever else. We're going to explore that stuff. And
is that kind of like all women, black women, can just join the group and discuss topics?
Currently we have a Zoom meeting every other Saturday.
Okay.
And that happens,
So, and that's Birmingham based?
Yeah, that's Birmingham. It's for Birmingham women right now. Yeah. We've had a lot of interest from women outside of the city as well, so we're going to try and get a little hub in every city and see if we can bring them together.
So from kind of like your take then in terms of the school that you provide in and your experience of the youth working in the prisons, what would you like to see happen moving forward?
I think a lot more practitioners need to be held accountable. That's my personal opinion, without trying to put pressure on no one, because I feel like everybody has their own motivation and reason for doing the work. I only say it because I see the conditions that the kids are living in. I see when I go to jails, even out to jails up in Kent, in Cookham, Feltham, I see kids that are like 15, 17, 22 years, 20 years and all that kind of stuff. You look at the harsh realities that these kids are actually living with and their lack of support. I see kids that are in jail for years, don't get no visits, surviving on that £4 a week money just about get some canteen food. I see kids that can't even come out of their cell because the whole winger onto them and all that kind of stuff. But then I see practitioners living a great life. So when I think about it, how does that make sense? Because doesn't balance, does it? Doesn't balance. And then when I see kids come out, it's like, who's helping them? And it's scary, man. It's scary because the reality of the kids, and it's easy for everyone to say, you lot should stop doing this, but their realities are different, man. It's no different what I say to the jails. When they're with me in a class, it's fine. Because they feel safe, but when they go back on the wing, it's a different reality, it's different pressure. But nobody wants to talk about that. It's people only want to talk about success and what they like. They only talk about, I'm doing this or I'm doing this, but what are the realities of the kids? And it's
I heard this somewhere. I can't remember where I heard it. I think it was someone on That's TV said it. Did he say no? He said, if you don't show me the way, don't blame me for being lost.
Simple.
And it's something similar to what you're saying, really.
100%, man. Like I said, man, enough workers are come and tell you something, but they ain't gonna show you something. You know, for example, if a kid approached me, I said, you know what, D, how do I set up a school? I'm gonna give you everything to show you. Some people ain't gonna do that for you, man.
That's the thing, because I've contacted you a few times for certain things, and you just freely provide the info. Not a lot of people are like that.
This is where I say it's not about me, and if you talk about, are you genuinely about your environment? You should be able to be open for everybody, innit? And I don't see how people ain't willing to be that. Because, we only got one life, man. You gotta be willing to help. If you're not, that's on you, man.
Definitely an interesting journey. Someone growing up in the inner city, Hockley, and signing a pro football deal and coming back to the community and then setting up your own, or working with the gangs and then setting up your own alternative providing school. It's definitely an interesting journey and inspiring for people as well to see that there is other ways of, you can come from an environment, but you still can make it depending on the decisions and the people you surround with.
Definitely.
So if anyone wanted to contact you, or if anyone wanted to get involved with the school, is there any contact details?
I'm saying, man,
if you want to.
I got an email address of wantoachieve@outlook.com.
Okay.
That's out there I got.
Is that the football academy, or
that's the school?
Okay.
And the football one's academy club. At Academy Club 1 at Hotmail.
And with the academy club, what do you do there? What's the age group?
That's more for the younger ones, but we're hoping to have, we've got from like under 11s to under 7s, where we do a lot of one-to-one coaching and group sessions, but we're hoping over the next year to open up to more age groups. Because we do a lot of one-to-ones with some young kids play for pro clubs and all sorts. So we do one-to-ones with them as well. So
and it's interesting that you signed your deal for, is it Port Vale? And then now your office is up on that side as well.
I've got an office in Port Vale as well, because to be fair, even though my experience this is why I talk about football change. When I was 16, my experience of Port Vale was I don't like it.
Okay.
But now as an adult being up there and I've seen how things are different,
Yeah.
They're very supportive towards me.
Yeah.
Even without me knowing that. Even a lot of them didn't even know I played there before. Now I've got office space up there. They allow us to utilise one of their classrooms where we get young people in there. Then also some of their coaches do football sessions with some of our kids 1-to-1 and all sorts.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me right now, they've been great. They've been great with me right now. Look at it now, it's under different ownership, different management, different kind of players. One of their players, he helps us a lot. A guy called Monty, he does a lot of stuff with us and all sorts. As I said, times have changed, man.
Times have changed. Thank you for coming up here and having this discussion. It was definitely enlightening for me, getting to know the journey, and it's given me a different perspective on especially football. I just thought that was something easy to get involved in.
I was at the bottom end of football, and even when people talk about the guys that are making money, imagine contracts just finished.
Yeah.
You're trying to maintain a life. It's deep, man. You can lose everything overnight, man.
Sounds it. But it sounds like that you met the right person at the right time as well.
Yeah. But I look at my environment, man. I'm lucky, man, because we look at the environment and you got a lot of guys that's serving big jail sentences, horrible jail sentences.
Yeah.
So even if, I never made nothing of myself, I'd rather be in my position than some other guys. As simple as that, man. And
before we go, what's the future plans? Is there any plans to bring that template to Birmingham? And
yeah, that's the plan, man. I gotta set some up in Brum. Yeah. I'm also trying to look at some stuff around setting up housing and homes for young people and all sorts. Yeah. Put some applications in, so I'm waiting to hear back from that. But I've definitely got to come back and put something in Brum, 100%, man. With or without local authorities' approval. Well, if this platform can help you put some pressure on, hopefully, some of the commissioners and so forth, once it grows, hopefully we can help you in that direction. We'll have to have a take two and see where I'm at, man. Take two, man. Take two. Daniel, thanks for coming up.